Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Gyan Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Nirvana Prakarana Purvārdha, Section 110. This is the conclusion of the story of Queen Chudala and King Shikhidwaja. According to King is already enlightened, and Chudala has proposed that both of them should go back to rule their kingdom. This is the context. According to our prarabdha karma, the king is saying, rather Chudala is saying, it is our duty to rule a kingdom. Before we pursued the spiritual path, we were rulers. Now that we have torn the veil of illusion, we should continue to be rulers until the termination of our prarabdha karma. The king said with a smile, this is a happy moment, and it's a kind of a joking conversation. So the king makes a joke. If this is so, why should we not accept the enjoyment of the heavenly world if we have to go back to prarabdha karma? The king is suggesting we are accomplished with all that was needed. We deserve to be in heaven. Why don't we go to heaven instead of go back to the old rulership? And go on drinking heavenly nectar. There you have you are not afraid of calories. The body is no longer a hindrance. You can have all the enjoyment. Why can't we do that? Why should we have to rule the earth? It's a birth. Birth means vain. I'm joking. Queen Chudala said, O king, we have no desires for enjoyments, nor do we desire power and glories. Whatever presents itself in accordance with prarabdha, the same I accept without being affected by likes and dislikes. This is what the characteristic of a sthita prajna is. One who is enlightened is not holding his mind involved in having an expected future. He is not dependent on how future will be. Whatever way it will be, It is first to understand, in two stages. First stage, Saranagati, when you have surrendered yourself to God. If Saranagati reaches its climax, then you have attained Sahaj Samadhi. Sahaj Samadhi is same as attaining enlightenment. You have become a Jivan Mukta. When you surrender to God, you become an instrument in divine will. When your surrender reaches the highest state, and ego begins to melt, then you become flute in divine hand. I'm adding up some of these colorings. First you are an ordinary instrument, but now you become a loving flute. So you don't have to go after looting happiness. Happiness will come to you. It doesn't have to come to you. You are yourself, boundless happiness. Your essential nature is Ananda, absolute bliss. So you don't look for happiness. The sky is completely full with expansion. It is not dependent on the clouds to define the sky. So, karmic results, they continue like moving clouds. No matter whichever way the karmic results may happen, a sage is untouched. It's because of 2 points. Surrender to God, his instrument. He has no ego. But this is at a deeper level. Shouldn't get confused. Never start acting in that type of attitude, acting in a practical way. Do not go into the kitchen now. If it is God's will, stove will cook up my tea. Surrender doesn't mean that. Your self-effort should be absolutely precise, with perfect skill. Now your skill will be much greater than previously. When mind is under pressure, your skill is always fluctuating. Sometimes you are good, sometimes you are not so good. Sometimes you make an erroneous choice, sometimes you make good choice. So all error and correction continues. So this practical stage will not move away. The deeper level of surrender and being completely a flute in divine hand is more of subjective nature. But that is what you are. What you are in your deeper level, that's what counts. How you feel, what's the status in your heart level, that's what counts. Not what you have externally. What a building do you have? How much money you have? How many friends you have? Are you popular or not? All these don't count. In your real qualitative experience, all these external attributes, they are in the realm of illusion. What it counts is how you feel, how you are. Queen Chudala said, "O king, we have no desires for enjoyments, nor do we desire powers and glories. Whatever presents itself in accordance with prarabdha, The same I accept without being affected by likes and dislikes. My happiness is not in the heavens, nor in my kingdom, nor in my works. I am ever established in the blissful self. King Shikhidwaja said, O gentle one, what you say is perfectly true. If we renounce our kingdom, there will be no gain for the self. If we continue to perform our duties, there will be no loss for the self. Therefore, let us perform our earthly duties, abiding all the while in the self, which is free from grief, hate, sorrow, and jealousy. For broad understanding, that state which is free of mala, vikshepa, avarana, gross impurities are anger, greed, hate, etc. Vikshepa is a subtle impurity due to vasanas, subtle desires of the subconscious. And avarana is ignorance, the veil of illusion. Enlightenment means conquering these three knots of your heart, mala, vikshepa, and avarana, karma, kama, and avidya. Vasistha continued, O Rama, as they were conversing thus, the sun began to decline. The king and queen discontinued their talks, and with mind free of all desires, engaged themselves in performing their evening worship. These little details are being given to give you an understanding that if you have become enlightened, from deepest level, you don't need anything more to support your enlightenment. But enlightened one will continue to live an exemplary life. So he continues with performing his ritual worship. As long as there is prarabdha karma of the body, you continue to follow what has been habitual to your personality, the type of food you ate, the timings of your daily life, all that you will observe as if you are like anybody else. You will not suddenly shut your door. I'm enlightened, everything is finished. Section 110 of Nirvana Prakarana Purvārdha. The king and queen rule their kingdom as enlightened sages. Sage Vasistha continued, having passed the night in pleasant conversations, sharing spiritual experiences with each other, the king and queen performed their morning worship with the rising of the sun. Then they entered into a cave and sat on a seat made of tender, glossy lotus leaves. Queen Chudala created a vessel by her will, which continued the waters from different seas, which contained the waters from different seas. Now this is just a description of the king and queen. They perform coronation ceremony of each other. The queen coronates the king, and the king in turn will coronate the queen. And all by their psychic powers, siddhis. Then the queen performed the coronation ceremony for the king by the power of her mind. There arose a golden throne for the king. All this simply allegorical. All these were that type of inner happiness developed within themselves. The details are being given for the audience. How does it feel for one who is enlightened? As if he has a whole throne. He sits on it. And he enjoys the coronation ceremony. Follow this story, which is its own delightful rasa. Chudala said, "O king, now please give up this peaceful disposition of an ascetic and assume a royal disposition. Get ready to perform your duties as king. Shine with regal glory like Indra, the celestial king, and like the other rulers of the heavenly worlds." Shikhidwaja said, "I will do as you say. But first, let me declare you as my queen." Accordingly, the king performed the ritual ceremony to inaugurate Chudala as the queen. Sage Vasistha continued, "Then Queen Chudala created a vast army by her mental will. The army consisted of chariots, elephants, horses, and heroic soldiers. Attended by this army, the king and queen left the Mahendra hills and proceeded towards their capital. In a storyline, they are going back to their subjects, their kingdom, not as ascetics, but as king and queen. And king and queen should not be walking alone. So they are coming with a whole royal army with them. The moral behind it, that the sages do not project their troubles, what they have faced through, the challenges they have faced. They don't share the difficult times they had in their sadhana. Otherwise, that's what you will always see in satsanga. The sage will open up his diary and go on telling, look how such a situation had come to me. He doesn't share that. He shares his wisdom. And his intention is to awaken strength in people around them. And that's being brought into a storyline. They crossed many rivers, climbed numerous hills, having traveled through many villages, cities, and forests. They finally entered their capital, where they were greeted by their subjects, ministers, and royal officers. And all these people were given the idea that the king and queen had gone some foreign land for conquering enemies or doing their royal duties. And now they have succeeded and they have come back. All the struggles they have gone through, now those struggles are not being presented before the subjects. The subjects are given only their majestic character. The entire kingdom put on a festive appearance. Great was the joy in the hearts of all at the return of their beloved king and queen. Festivities continued for 7 days and nights. This is an external celebration. Internally, king and queen are enjoying million times that festivity within their own internal experience. Thus the liberated ones, King Shikhidwaja and Queen Chudala, resumed their duties as rulers. They continued to rule their country for a long, long time. Like ancient stories, now they lived happily ever after. They were ever unaffected by the changing conditions of the world. They were ever untouched by karmas and their results. After the termination of their prarabdha karma, they left their mortal bodies and became one with the Absolute. They were one with the Absolute while they were still alive. Prarabdha karma ended, and now that state called the Parinirvana, or simply Mahanirvana. 2 stages, the stage of enlightenment and liberation with body. And now, with the end of prarabdha, the body is no more. So it's called Videha Mukti. But that again is depending upon the context. Even while alive, you are called Videha. But more from a practical point of view, your body will not be there, but your soul has become united with the Absolute Self. O Rama, follow the example of these enlightened personalities. You too must perform your duties while abiding in the Self. In the state of enlightenment, it is all the same for a yogi, whether he remains absorbed in samadhi or he continues to perform karmas, actions, without attachment and hatred, with a passionless mind. For an enlightened sage, there is sahaja samadhi, a spontaneous awareness of transcending the world and abiding in the self at all times. Thus ends our publication of Yoga Vasistha, Volume 4, Nirvana Prakarana Purvārdha. But Purvārdha and Uttarārdha, there are 2 sections of Nirvana Prakarana. Purvārdha is the first early, Uttarārdha is the end. Purvārdha has not ended yet. And it continues in our publication, volume 5, this old-time publication of Yoga Vasistha. Nirvana Prakarana, Purva plus Uttarārdha. And we are now coming to the section 111. A totally different topic is being introduced. Topic is the same, but the storyline is totally different. Section 111. The divine sage Brihaspati teaches his son Kacha. The Sanskrit word Kacha. People don't go after the meaning, but sometimes I go after the meaning. Ka is Kalyan. Kalyan is auspiciousness. Doing that which is auspicious means moving towards God realization. Anything that is leading you to progress is really auspicious. If it is not, it is suspicious. Or it is inauspicious. Cha is acharan. Kacha is conducting yourself towards kalyan, towards spiritual progress. Moving along, ascending the steps of wisdom. If that is the project in your life, then you are kacha. And that was in a storyline, son of sage Brihaspati. Brihaspati is guru of gods, and therefore he is skilled in teaching wisdom that leads to liberation. Sage Vasistha said, O Rama, Kacha, the son of sage Brihaspati, the guru of the gods, also followed the path of absolute renunciation, much like King Shikhidwaja. And he too attained enlightenment. Therefore, listen to the story of Kacha. Kacha had hardly completed his childhood and stepped into the age of youth. He was still a young person when he developed a strong aspiration to cross the ocean of the world process. He was well versed in the study of the Vedas. He approached his father to receive spiritual instructions. Kacha said, O Divine Father, you know the secrets of the scriptures. Please enlighten me. How can I release myself from the fetters of the world process? Sage Brihaspati replied, O son, absolute renunciation is the only way by which you can cross this ocean of the world process. The entire plan of attaining liberation is being presented before you. So same theme, same topic is repeated again and again. And that's the style of scriptures. When you listen to the same thing again and again, called Gada Parinyaya. You are a mechanic driving a nail. One hammering is not enough. You go on hammering until you know that it has become absolutely stuck, cannot be shaken. The scripture goes on presenting the teaching again and again with different colors, So again you are being told, just like Chudala told Shikhidwaja, where lies the attainment of liberation, when he was practicing a lot of austerities and he could not understand. When she told him sannyasa is the way of attaining liberation, he immediately started throwing everything from his ashram. I will possess nothing. Including he wanted to jump up and sacrifice his body. But that's a wrong interpretation. Same way, Kacha is being told that renunciation is the only way. But Kacha has to follow his spiritual evolution and to gain a perfect qualification. And he is not completely qualified at this stage. The challenges now Kacha faces are being presented before you so that you can be inspired for following sadhana accordingly. Sage Vasistha continued, O Rama, having listened to the brief instruction from his father. See, father doesn't sit down and gives the entire teaching. He gives the only piecemeal. Kacha entered into a forest to practice severe austerities. He thought that was the way to attain absolute renunciation. Sage Brihaspati did not grieve because of this event. Those who possess spiritual greatness are unaffected by union with dear ones as well as by separation from them. They are immutable like the Sumeru mountains against the winds of change. For a full 8 years, Kacha practiced austerities. For 8 years he continued to practice austerities, and his father waited patiently. Then his father, Sage Brihaspati, came to Kacha to impart wisdom to him. Kacha received his father with great joy. Kacha asked, O father, I have practiced absolute renunciation for 8 years, and yet I have not experienced supreme peace. Sage Brihaspati said, O son, you have not yet renounced all that is to be renounced. You must practice absolute renunciation to experience supreme peace. Sri Vasistha continued, after saying this, Sage Brihaspati disappeared. Therefore, Kacha then renounced even his smallest possessions. He discarded his clothes that were made of bark and leaves and became a naked ascetic. After 3 years of intense austerity, he became feeble and terribly weak. Again his father appeared before him and was welcomed by him. Kacha asked, O father, I have renounced all that is to be renounced, and yet I do not experience the bliss of the self. Sage Brihaspati said, O son, Chitta is all that is. Renounce the Chitta. Now, Brihaspati recognizes his son is ready for more direct approach. And the direct approach is turning your attention to controlling the vrittis of your chitta. Your chitta is the one that determines whether you are in a state of bondage or you are in a state of release. The role of chitta is like in a cinema show. All the projections, there is a projecting machine on the screen. The screen does not change. The projection continues to create drama. Chitta projects on what? The screen is chit, pure consciousness. Pure consciousness blended with projection, that's called chitta. Projection moved away, then it's called chit. This process is called chittanash. Chittanash comes in two ways, sarupanash, arupanash. Sarupanash, when you attain sattvapatti state, your mind continues, but the mind will not create bondage. Enlightened mind. Old time lamps, electric, not gas lamps, used to have a mantle. The mantle burns up completely, and yet it continues to be appear right there. Until another stage, your mantle will also move away. So chitta continues to appear, but it is not creating karmas. Your prarabdha karma is burnt up. Agami karma has stopped. No, sanchit karma has burnt up all the accumulated store. And agami karma, current karmas, do not create bondage. So, those points we have discussed many times. Remember, aniccha prarabdha, swachachcha prarabdha, parecha prarabdha. As long as prarabdha continues, you will face situations that are perfectly according to your own plan, agreeable to you. As well as you will face changing conditions influenced by people around you, your relatives, friends, your disciples, devotees. Anicca is just like the storm suddenly comes up. So, in appearance, prarabdha karma will continue, but you are not creating new karmas for future embodiment. So that's what Brihaspati gave that last instruction. Shiva Vasistha continued. Thus saying, sage Brihaspati flew into the sky, and Kacha commenced his quest for the mind. Even after great efforts, he was unable to discover the mind. Therefore, he proceeded to the heavenly world to receive more instructions from his father. Kacha asked, "O father, what is the nature of the chitta? Please explain this to me so that I can renounce it." Brihaspati explained, "O son, the ego in a human being is the essence of the chitta." So now the question of renouncing the chitta, bringing chitta to sarupanash, how can it be done? Don't go into too many details. Go after your who am I. That's the key. and understand the difference between egoism and your ego. Allow the ego to be free of egoism. Allow your ahamkar to get out of the car, not wander in the car. And that requires in practice of integral yoga in daily life. All the movement of karma, bhakti, dhyana, jnana, in such a rhythmic way that life becomes as if it is pursuing a melody, not pursuing a malady. So that movement, a melodious movement, brings about effacement of your ego. Prayer for shower of karuna, mercy, grace of God over all of you, with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukma Bandhana Mrityor Muksyama Mritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Nidamaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat.